Alright, what goofy things or what silly shenanigans are the boys up to today?
Well, segment one is a new segment called subreddits. It's a very simple subject, which is about subreddits. For those who are unfamiliar with what a subreddit is, there's a website on the internet called Reddit, where basically it's a forum website where there's a bunch of different subforums or subpages called subreddits. There's a subreddit for basically everything out there. If it exists, there's probably a subreddit about it. There's one about movies, videos, music, funny things, pictures, photography,
General stuff, but
memes.
also really specific.
Yes, there's also there's one called Crappy Design. I'm not gonna leave any of these in the show notes except for the one that we will be discussing, which is r/HaveWeMet. And you haven't actually looked at this because I haven't talked to you about it unless you looked it up when I wrote it down.
I can assume what it is.
Okay, actually, this is kind of fun. What do you think it is, just based off the name?
Okay, so I've been on what do you call it? I've been on Craigslist before. And there's so many like people that are like, I'm trying to find this person that's like, I met one time and maybe they're looking for me too, and I know this general area, so like, hey, have we met before? Because I want to like reunite or something like that. And so when I'm looking at that, I'm assuming that's something like that. But also at the same time, I'm thinking maybe you wouldn't have picked something that's that simple.
Yeah, no, that's not at all. Your assumption is completely incorrect. So I'm going to send you the link to this now, and I will leave this in the show notes.
I'm in.
Oh, never mind, whatever. So basically what this is a subreddit where everyone acts as though they know each other. And you're not allowed to break the illusion that they're not all acquaintances or friends from the small little town that exists. And people just like say yes to about everything. It's like all role playing, but it's also really, really fun. On this, I'm actually a freelance hand model. And so I go around and then I comment on people and be like, "Hey guys, I'm Noah. I actually made a post when I came to it and I said it's good to be back." And I said I've been gone at college for 6 years and then I'm back. So basically, it's really, really fun if you like role playing, and people make things up like as you're talking to them, and there's like ridiculous things that go on. Like there's this one guy named Bruce. He's a moose, and so so there's a moose named Bruce, and he's like the town moose essentially. So like one of these posts was Bruce is now a certified therapy moose, and so I actually had a string of
I'm seeing it right now.
my string of comments that I had with someone. It's so great because I'll leave this in the show notes. But basically, I was like, "Hey, I've been gone for a while, but I'm back." And then one of the people were like, "Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you, and you've grown up so much." And I'm like, "Oh man, it's been so great to see you." And then we just keep have this back and forth, building on this illusion. And then I came to the conclusion that I graduated from Mississippi State for floral management. And then I live in the apartments off Green Street, I think.
Hey guys, just a heads up, we'll be reopening Keepers Cove in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
We'll be asking you all to join us at our celebration, dinner, raffle, and silent auction. We'll be hosted by local personality Kim Hurst. Hope to see you there. Like, it's just like, most of it's just gibberish, but everyone has to just go along with it and pretend like... Oh my gosh.
This person literally just asked, where do I get a decent cup of tea? And then there's 31 comments on that. And the thing is, like, some of the things aren't even ridiculous. They're just like normal things, but it's funny because none of it is real. I would highly suggest getting in on this action. It's a very, very fun subreddit to be a part of.
It's like a town.
Yeah, it's like an imaginary town, and the mayor is Ulysses the alpaca.
Wait, hold on. The mayor is...
Yeah, he's an alpaca.
Ulysses the alpaca. Oh my god.
Yeah. And so the rules are family and friends only. We welcome new people to our town, though. Do not mention a user who isn't in the thread or who doesn't have a user flare. 3. No personal info. We know who you are. No need to mention it again. 4. Avoid speaking directly to only one individual in a single post. Okay in comments. 5. Please don't post images with watermarks. That family photo you took shouldn't be uploaded to Shutterstock. And so, like, the top post is just, I think it's a picture of a bunch of random people with, like, mustaches. Yeah, they all have fake mustaches. And then this one person says, guys, here's a massive picture of us at that gathering last weekend. Feel free to tag yourself. I'm the one with the mustache. But, like, yeah, it's just fun, and I wanted to tell people about it. And so if you guys are interested in joining this, go for it. You should leave whatever your nickname and occupation for this subreddit is in the comments so I can find you and whatever. I'm Noah, freelance hand model on there. So
this is a lot of fun. Yeah, I see that. It's good to be back. Noah, the freelance hand model.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's
Christopher, teacher / mad scientist extraordinaire.
Uh-huh. And then my friend, he was like, what should I do? And I was like, you should be a professional goat racer, which sucks because that's a much better one than mine. But I came up with it for him.
I see him, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I love it. And people are just so great on the subreddit. They're so into, like, the immersion and ridiculousness of it.
Captain Blackadder, retired soldier. Wow, this looks like a lot of fun.
Oh, it's a whale of a time. Let's move on to segment 2, shall we?
We shall.
Okay, so this is another Blankology segment. Blankology is basically where we both find an ology, which basically is a word ending in ology, which is usually, but not always, a study of something. So, for example, biology, geology, astrology, ologies. So, we both have one ology that we found from the greatest source of information, Wikipedia. I will leave the link in the show notes to where we got ours from, which is literally just a list of words ending in ology. It makes our lives significantly easier. And so, would you like to go first?
Yeah. The word I have is called droneology.
Is that the study of drones?
A genre of music which heavily utilizes drones. Also used to describe the use of drones in music. So, what is drone music? That's what my question was. I was like, oh, of course, it's music heavily utilizing drones? What? So
wait, drones being like the machines that have propellers and they make sounds?
Listen, okay, so
okay, I'm listening.
Drone music, drone-based music, or simply drone is a minimalist music genre. So
great.
No, it's not actually like the flying drone. It's emphasizing sustained or repeated sounds, tone clusters, drones. Young, one of its 1960s originators, defined it in 2000 as the sustained tone branch of minimalism. So, yeah, it's just like droning, repetitive, long types of music. I can't find any good examples right off the top of this.
If we find any, we will play it right here.
But in the early 1990s and 2000s, it was intermixed with rock, ambient, dark ambient, and electro new age music.
I think electro and dark ambient would fit really well with whatever this drone music is, which I only kind of understand from you explaining it.
Right. So I actually found an example here.
Oh, perfect.
And it's it's just very long, very drawn out. Okay, let me send this to you. So it's still music. You're still listening to it because I'm not sure. Honestly, this is something I think everyone should find out find for themselves, because it's very strange. It's not something I thought would exist, but it's mostly just like single tones increasing in volume, and yeah, that there's not really much note change, chord progression, anything like that.
I'm listening to it now, and it's
just like I thought it would.
It's kind of like space. It reminds me of something that would be in a space film to build tension.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, I know there's specific music. I don't know if it's technically called drone music. It's very similar to this. That's meant to just build a certain part of a scene in movies.
It's weird because as I'm listening to it and it's getting slowly louder, your voice when you talk, it seems to be getting significantly lower, but I know it's not, and I know it's not just loud enough, but I think it's like my brain is starting to listen to that more and start drowning you out.
When you hit about the 1.5 minute mark, a melody comes in, but we're still talking like at least 2 seconds for each note.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's very science fiction-y, kind of like ambient background.
Yeah.
Very
closed captions.
Closed captions.
Okay, I'm at 125, 126. Actually, just have them listen to some of this. Oh, it's weird. It's immensely ominous.
It's also quite calming, I would say.
Yeah, it is. I could fall asleep to this. There's something kind of ASMR-esque about it, in my opinion. It's like give me similar tingles that ASMR does.
It's similar to I forget what you call them, but meditative tones, like certain, like things you'll say when you meditate in order to focus your brain. I'm sure you could do a similar thing with drone music.
Yeah, definitely.
I wonder what the most popular hip drone artists are.
Oh, let's find that out.
Oh no, I'm good. If you wanna continue on to your ology.
The Velvet Underground, Fripp and Eno, Coil. Coil's a good name for a drone music band. Anyway, let's get. I'll do mine, which is much more. It's a lot more lame, and they won't find a new genre of music, so that sucks for them. But it's anemology, which is the study of wind.
Oh.
I was trying to look into it, but there's like nothing on the internet other than the fact that Wikipedia says that it's the study of wind. But I click on it, and then it just brings me to the page for wind, which I am aware of exists. And whoa.
Guess what I just found?
A page for anemology?
No. Even better, I found the greatest ology just now, which is it's called. Hold on, let me see if I can figure out how to pronounce this.
This is your drum roll.
It's ecrinology or estrinology.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Which is
the
study of
I haven't.
the eccrine sweat gland. I only found it interesting because the glands on the palms and soles of your feet do not respond to temperature, but secrete at times of emotional distress. Which I'm sure anyone who's taken anatomy probably knows that, but I did not know that. Specifically, the soles and palms of your feet.
Wait, the palms of your feet?
The palms of your hands and the soles of your feet.
Okay.
Not the soles of your hands and the palms of your feet.
Well, you said the palms and the soles of your feet. That's what you were saying.
I know. I used improper parallelism. I apologize. You do not have palms on your feet. You do not have soles on your hands.
I was like, wait a second. I'm now very confused, and I feel as though I've been lied to my whole life. Segment 3. We're going to do another superhero. Last time we did this, we came up with the Drill Sergeant, which was an anime superhero or supervillain. We still don't actually... That's for you to decide. He's more of an anti-hero, really.
Right.
And if you want to listen to that episode, I will leave that in the show notes. Okay, we're going to go to Superpower Wiki and press this random superpower button. And then from there, it will give us a random superpower that will be from like DC, Marvel, a bunch of anime, just a ton of different things from things you wouldn't even consider superpowers. And so we're going to create a superhero based off one of these superpowers. And we might press it 2 or 3 times depending on if one is super strength. We're not going to do that. That's lame. That's
last
stupid.
time I got like the best first try
Yeah.
is the drilling powers.
Yeah, I don't even
So dumb.
was it like super I don't even remember. We were hoping to get an
Enhanced drilling
absurd
ability, I
enhanced drilling. That's what it was.
think.
Okay,
I
Tendo.
just
Click
clicked
it. What did we get?
Mine's not. I mean, it's okay. It's solar energy manipulation. It's the ability to manipulate.
That's kind of cool.
Solar energy.
But we don't want a cool one. I have precognition manipulation, the power to manipulate the precognitive powers of others.
I have heard about that one. I don't like that one.
Yeah, no, that one's lame. Yours is also kind of lame because it could be used in an actually cool way.
We can each do 2 more. How about that?
Yeah, how about we get 3 each, and then we get to choose from our favorite, and then from our... Oh, are you serious? I just got power absorption, which is like yours. It's lame.
I got the summon bestowal. The power to bestow abilities to summoned beings.
Oh, that's actually... I like that one, because it's almost useless, because you can't actually summon the beings. You can only bestow power to the summoned beings.
It's, I mean, that's pretty useful, though. When you summon a dragon, you can just give it invisibility, and you basically created the ultimate weapon.
I think it's a good sidekick power, but I got...
Okay,
oh my gosh.
My third one.
Wait. Okay, here's my third one. Ferrokinetic whip generation. The power to create weapons out of metallic substances.
That sounds amazing. I got illusionary environment, the power to change the appearance of one's environment via illusions, which I know a lot of ridiculous ways we can twist that. I'm going to say no on the bestowal, no on the solar energy manipulate. Actually, maybe.
No on the power absorption. I think we really only have ferrokinetic whip generation and the
illusionary environment. Because
Yeah.
some of these we can be creative with and make something like dumb.
Yeah. Or maybe we just end up coming up with an actually legitimately really cool person. I hope not, because that doesn't sound as fun, but it's the thought that counts. Okay,
so
let's lock this down.
Let's think of yours first. Like, what could you do with that?
Well, this one has a... they created a whip out of metal, which is kind of cool. I'm trying to think... It says, like...
Any metal object they can just turn into a weapon?
Here, let's look at the limitations. Durability of whips may depend on users' will. Wait a second. Oh, wait. Sorry. This is strictly just for making whips.
Oh, my gosh. So, just like, you have, like, car keys in your pocket, and you just pull them out, and then you just,
I create it into a whip?
It's like a tiny whip.
Oh, my. It's ferrokinetic whip generation. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a... subpower of ferrokinetic constructs, which is a variation of terrakinetic whip generation. I mean, this is. So, let's definitely do this one. Ferrokinetic whip generation. So they can only make whips out of metal substances. Okay. Applications. Binding. Concussive force. Concussive force, yes. Crushing. Metal generation. Limitations. Durability of whips may depend on the user's will. May be unable to create metal, being limited to manipulating already existing sources, which, that makes sense. How long the whip lasts on the user's skill or power. Some may need near constant attentions. Others are effectively permanent.
Here's
and
what
may
I'm thinking.
have a limit on range.
I'm thinking he's a cook.
He's a
cook
and he's a frying pan.
No, he makes the best whipped cream. But he has a literal whip, not a whisk.
No.
A whip.
No. What he does is he takes the whisk and then he turns it into a whip and then he goes and then he makes it, but nobody notices it because he's so fast. He just they're like, oh boy, why is his whipped cream is so good? Because he takes his whisk and he turns it into a whip.
It's like they don't know his secret, and he how Superman goes to the telephone booth and dresses up as Superman. He goes into the back room with the whisk, and he's like, I have to whisk this in private, and then he turns the whisk into a whip, and then so dumb.
It's so dumb.
Before we go along with that, what are other things you could use whips for besides like actually fighting? Ugh.
Ugh.
mean,
Well,
you could be-
what if he just used it to go climbing or something? I don't know.
It could
That's
be
kind of
Indiana
lame.
Jones, and it can literally do
Yeah.
anything because it's overpowered whip.
Yeah, and he can turn any metal thing into a whip.
Oh,
And his catchphrase is "Watch me whip."
stop! No, absolutely not.
Let's bring back that meme from 2016, please. I'll take those spicy memes.
It's like any metal object just turns into just a sculpture of a small man like doing the whip. Oh gosh, sounds so terrible.
Wait, what if Ben's can he turn metal music into a whip?
Into the song that it originates from.
Yeah. So like he's listening to some metal and then he just like goes to whatever the speaker is, like takes it out, and you can actually see like the sound waves being turned into metal and turned into a whip.
His superpower is to be able to change any metal music into what is the song from the stupid I don't want to look this up.
What song? Which one?
Whatever the whip dance comes from.
Oh, the Watch Me Whip Nene video? I think it's just called Watch Me Whip, isn't it?
I think it's just Watch Me. Is it Watch Me?
Oh, is it? I'm looking at... It's called Watch Me, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah, so he could change any metal music
into that song.
Into Watch Me from Silento.
Silento. Oh, please no. Oh, gosh. Okay, so he can turn any of... I like how the actual superpower is the fact that he turns metal into a whip. But now we're taking it. He takes actual metal music into Watch Me Whip.
The problem is, like, he can't just, like, go to weddings and turn all the music into Watch Me. Like, specifically metal music, which he's got to, like, really search for to find. Like,
only
villain.
metal music.
He's a super villain to whatever the hard metal, like, rock superhero is.
Oh, my gosh. What if he goes to concerts? Like, yeah, how about this? This guy's a villain. This guy is a villain.
100%. Nobody wants him to turn metal music into Watch Me.
And he tries to... He goes to every metal band that's playing. And he goes, like, live. And he goes, and he just, like, uses his powers. And then all of a sudden, they just start playing Watch Me. And they can't stop until they're just done playing music. And if they try again, they just keep going. As long as he's there at the concert... They physically can't play metal music. They have to only play Watch Me.
Oh, and then, like, when it happens, like, whatever the metal superhero is, he gets a ring, and it's like, he's here, and he's like, now I gotta do my job. And he's like, he's gotta go incognito and search through the crowd to find him, because, like, the other dude also goes super incognito. He's, like, got that stereotypical, like, disguise
trench
of,
coat,
like, bald cap. No, like ball cap, sunglasses, maybe trench coat, yeah.
Yeah,
and
definitely trench coat.
Gotta hunt him down, and then he's gotta stop him from ruining the metal concert.
From ruining the wonderful metal music. Okay, so I think that's a pretty solid start for a villain. But okay, so what's his name and what's his like suit and stuff like?
It's called the Silento Threat. Like silent threat. Gosh.
Please no. Please no.
We gotta do like a terrible pun though, because he's a superhero.
Yeah, we do. Metal whip.
It's the metal bender.
The metal bender. The metal bender.
Whiplash's less exciting cousin.
Yes. Whiplash. Can we do that, please?
You could just call him Whiplash's cousin or nephew. No, he's got to be a nephew. He's like an edgy teen if he still thinks "Watch Me" is like a really good song to listen to.
Or he understands it's an awful song and that's why he's the super.
Or that's why he's a super villain. But he's got to be young enough to know the song exists.
Wait. Okay. I'm looking at the word whiplash and I feel as though we could make a pun off this that has to also incorporate metal.
I don't know. I'm sure there's some metal bands with... I bet there is a metal band called Whiplash.
Called Whiplash, yeah.
Or
that
something
would be...
very similar.
It's a good metal name. Ugh. I was thinking Whip Cash, but that's bad. It's really bad. Whip Slash.
Can we just call him Whipslash just because anytime we say it, people will be like, "You mean Whiplash?" I'll be like, "No,
No, Whip Slash. That's his name.
He's his lame nephew or cousin or whatever. He's like not near as cool. He can just turn metal music into Watch Me."
Okay, so his name is Whip Slash. Okay, and his main ability is he can turn any metal music into Watch Me by Silento. Which no one wants.
Can we add like restrictions, like whenever he plays that song, everyone against their will is forced to do the dance?
Oh gosh, yeah,
like a terrifying
everyone who hears it.
Yeah, flash mob against their will.
Oh my gosh, more like a slash mob.
Wow.
A whip flash mob.
Slash mob. The police roll up and they're like, "Looks like another whip slash mob," and there's just
they just see it from the background. They're like, "My gosh,
I can't believe that monster."
This is the third time in 3 months.
Wait, there he is. He's like the only guy not doing the dance. He's like trying to run away.
Perfect. I can't believe it. We found him. But then then the music starts like playing metal again, and then everyone just starts raging at the metal, and then the cops like get lost in the crowd or something. But that's
like, it's a terrible superpower, but like he always finds a way to use it
to get out of it.
Yeah, like he's in prison. They're like playing metal music, and he's like able to start like some like riot or something because by changing the music or just something dumb like that. Like it's like it's a totally useless like power, but in every situation there's the perfect opportunity to use it.
And then like at the very end of the film or whatever he ends up being in, like he's in a white padded like solitary confinement cage, not cage, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Cell, thank you, that's the word I was thinking. And then they're like, "Okay, don't play metal music. Whatever you do, do not play metal music." Whip slash.
Whip slash. Wow, he's really stupid. Even stupider than Drill Sergeant by a lot. Drill Sergeant could at least fight people.
Yeah. No one likes this guy. What's his actual name? What's his alter ego?
His alter ego by day.
I think he's literally just Silento. I think that's
he's literally just the artist.
He's just the artist. He's Silento.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, perfect.
I want to find out more about this guy. Rick Lamar Hott, American rapper, singer, songwriter, best known for his debut single "Watch Me." Yeah. Seems inconspicuous enough. Yeah.
Cool. That's perfect. I think we have a relatively solid. No, we don't. But I think this is fine. It's ridiculous, and I love it. Segment 4, Memory Lane, which basically is where...
Instead of using Wikipedia's content to get material, we use our own content from the past that uses Wikipedia to make new content.
Okay, so basically, before we did this podcast, we did another podcast, the Nomich and Super Tendo Boy podcast, which, I mean, that makes sense because I'm Nomich and he's Super Tendo Boy. So we decided that's a good name. It's a bad name. That went for 15 episodes, so that's cool. But basically, that was a less planned out show, and we just had conversation, and it was fun. So I was thinking for a segment, we could go back through and find conversations that were actually interesting or good and talk about what we said and reflect on them and kind of like talk about how our views may or may not have changed or what we think about our past selves said.
Yeah, yes. So. Good idea. Even though the past self is like a year.
But what's interesting is that some of the things that I said, even just then, I do disagree with, which is weird because it was less than a year ago.
I would also argue we're in a period of our lives where we're constantly changing our opinions and ideals, which just makes it more interesting doing something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Which is why I was thinking we should do it. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have you listen to this little conversation that we had. It lasts for like 2 minutes. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. I think this is a good time to just talk about the future of this podcast. Where do we want to go with this podcast? Because right now it's just us like talking about things, and it's very fun and very entertaining for us. And I hope for you guys, the listeners, it's also entertaining for you, and hopefully gives you some things to think about when we talk about more serious things, or something to laugh about when we make jokes and stuff. So, what is our main goal for this podcast, do you think? Just as a whole, I mean.
I don't know. Like, because right now, my goal is just to have fun with it and grow as a speaker. Mm-hmm. And if I could entertain some people too, then why not? But like, as far as the long term goes, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the goal of the podcast is.
My personal goal for this podcast is to entertain people and provide them with something that they can listen to while doing mundane tasks such as doing homework or anything like washing dishes. That's when I listen to my podcast, and it's always a good distraction from doing mundane things. So I think my personal goal for this podcast is to keep people entertained through things that aren't normally entertaining for people, like doing the dishes, and something to keep their minds thinking. So
right.
That's a good goal that I have for this podcast, and I'm glad that at least Malcolm Spencer said, quote, that the episode had a lot of food for thought, he said, but nothing quite for him to comment on. But it was cool that his brain got working and whatever, and things to think about, either minute things or big things like self-driving cars. I think that if we can challenge people's brains and still keep them entertained, I think that's a good goal to have for this.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I get to improve my speaking skills, and it's just kind of a fun thing to do on the side.
Yeah, so we talk about the future of our last podcast, which actually only ended up going for 15 episodes. And this is the 15th episode of this podcast, which is really cool. So this is still growing strong. That's convenient. So basically we just said, hey, our goal is to entertain, and your goal is to have fun and to grow as a speaker and all that, and the conversationalist. So how do you think that your goal for this podcast has actually changed or developed or evolved in any way? Or stayed the same?
I would say it stayed the same for the most part. I feel like because of the direction, I would say you more so than me, because I'm more hands off on the podcast. Because of the direction, I tried to put more emphasis on being not only entertaining but genuine. I guess. But besides that, it's pretty much stayed the same. It still feels like just sitting down, having some good conversations, but also with the implementation of so many more improvised bits or things where you were building something. I also like to use it as a way to challenge myself creatively. Like, maybe let's think of something that I would never do before. I mean, it's as simple as coming up with stupid characters and silly little TV show ideas.
Whip slash.
But when you're doing it like, every week, I don't know.
Yeah.
Try to come up with something fun and different, and kind of getting out of your creative little box.
Mm-hmm. So what I said, the main thing that I said was for the goal for the last podcast is to entertain and have people think about things. And for this podcast specifically, it's less about having them like think deeply about things. Maybe occasionally sometimes, but mainly it's just to entertain them and make them laugh and make them entertained during mundane things like driving or washing dishes, as I mentioned 4 times in the conversation that we had before.
Which is fine. I think it's still very valid.
With this podcast, I want to give them what I get out of podcasts I listen to. And potentially some educational stuff, like learning about useless facts like etymology, which is the study of wind, or coming away with listening to an episode feeling as though you haven't wasted your time.
Right. You've either learned something or you've changed your point of view or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you just like sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, ah, that was a waste of time because it wasn't like good or anything. I want them to listen to it and think, huh, this was enjoyable. So yeah, that's my main goal for this podcast for Segmented. I think we're doing that.
I would say so. Yeah. I would say a lot of the goals we had with the previous podcast we're just doing slightly better now.
Yeah, and also I've learned how to edit audio better now. I've learned a lot from this process about.
Yeah, I was gonna say after you've done this so many times, there's no way you couldn't have learned ways to do it more efficiently.
I've definitely learned a lot about it, and also with the improvisational segments, I've gotten better with improvising things. I'm still not great, but I mean it's practice and it's fun.
Right.
Yeah. Those are our goals for this podcast. Maybe this will be the last episode of this podcast, and then we'll do another one, and then on episode 15 of that,
we'll be like Valve. We can only count to 15 every, and our viewers will always be like, "Oh no, it's episode 13. What's gonna happen next one? And one right after
episodes,
that."
Oh boy. Oh gosh. Segment 5. We're gonna do Segway, which is a segment that we did a few episodes back. It was awful when we did it before. But I wanted to elaborate on the concept. So basically what we're going to try to do is go through Wikipedia and press the random article button. And that will give us a subject that we need to segue into. Just try casually conversation into it, like back and forth, and try to think of a segue that isn't completely far-fetched.
Also in a way that is reasonable and brief, so it doesn't take us 10 minutes in order to get to, like, the Hawaiian Islands, if that's our subject.
Yeah. It has to be, like, because you could say, like, if we're talking about pens and you need to get to, like, paintbrushes or something, you could say, oh, speaking of things you use to draw with, then you could say paintbrushes.
I also want to point out that these will probably be grossly locations and like species of animals because that is the majority of Wikipedia, just like statistically looking. So it's gonna be funny when there's gonna be ones that are gonna be so obviously far-fetched.
Well, the thing is, what's gonna happen is, like, you're gonna have a place and I'm gonna have a place and we're gonna be like, oh, speaking of places in the world, here's this one. So let's find out. We didn't even test this off air. So let's see how this goes.
All right.
It's all part of the experience. Okay. Do you want to start us off?
I will start. So Noah, I was listening to music earlier today, and there was this song, and it reminded me of Cowboy Christmas, Cowboy Songs Volume 2. Have you ever heard that album before?
No.
It was the 17th album, and they got like all the Christmas classics, but they're cowboys. It's really good.
The Christmas classics, you said?
Yeah, like Cotton Eye Joe, Santa Claus Shikowski, Riding Home on Christmas Eve, the Cowboy.
Wait, did you say
Christmas
Riding
Ball.
Home on Christmas Eve?
Yeah. That's
Speaking of riding, there's this thing called NASCAR, and
right, yeah.
Do you know what I was just thinking about? Is the NASCAR Mexico T4 series, which were stock cars, and it was in 2004, and there was 40 teams. True story. There's actually an official website. If you go to www.nascarmexico.com, I will leave that in the show notes.
This is for a specific car?
This is for an entire series of T4s.
Oh, T4s. Okay. Well, here's the thing. I actually found out the other day that not only is there professional car racing, but there's also professional bicycle racing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's this guy, Marco Lietti. He was a professional Italian bicycle racer. And he did really well, but he's actually retired. So unfortunately, but he was really good in his prime. But yeah, I thought bicycle racing was just like more of like a running kind of sport thing. But
no, yeah. Well, you said he was Italian, right?
Yeah, he's from Italy.
Okay, yeah. So do you know what I like about Italy?
What do you like about Italy?
Their food is great.
Food? I really like Italian food, yeah.
And I think that, like, the food that you put into it and the flavors, especially when they use zest, and from like lemon and lime.
Right.
I think it
lemon,
brings out the
lime,
flavor.
zest. It
Yeah.
does. I would agree.
It does.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I remember, as much as I enjoy Italian food and lemon zest and all that, where I come from, my hometown, actually, you weren't. Acidic foods were kind of frowned upon. Like, you weren't supposed to put that on your food. Just like there's certain places you go to that if you put ketchup on anything, they shame you. But yeah, my hometown of Long Prairie, Minnesota was like that. It was a small town. There's only about 3,458 people there. But they would never let me put lemon zest on my food. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you should come visit sometime.
You have mentioned that you are from a small town.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely the small town that you're from.
Yep. Yeah. Don't live there anymore, but
hey, that might be a small town, but at least there's more than just 2 people, which is the amount of people who did the album Strike Up the Band in 1959. It's by Tony Bennett and the Count Basie Orchestra. Oh wait, no, there's more than 2 people, but
it's an orchestra, yeah.
Yeah, but like, it's only 2 like entities, and it was released in May of 1959.
Oh, sweet. Where's this from? Where did this happen?
Oh, this happened.
Orchestra?
It was in. I have no clue.
No idea?
Nope, none.
See, I've heard of a lot of orchestras in my day, and a lot of them usually weren't American. Usually it's European orchestras, especially in the northern area of Europe. The areas including like Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Norway, Sweden. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, those specific 8 countries, did you know, actually have a regional cooperation called the Nordic Baltic 8.
I did not know that.
Yeah. They're like, it's kind of like a union thing between those countries. Just making up that area.
Well, yeah. Well, that's in Europe and stuff.
Right.
Is Greece? Greece isn't part of that, right?
No, Greece is more southern Europe.
Well,
the tip of
speaking of Greece, there's this place in Greece known as Milas, and that's in Euboea. I definitely know what I'm talking about. And it's an island, and then the population in 2011 was only 169, but in 1981 it was 323. So it's actually been going down since 1981, which is weird because that populations usually just go up.
That's true. That is really interesting. But it actually reminds me of this place. It's also in Europe, a little farther north. You know where Slovakia is? Right between Poland and Hungary?
Oh, yeah, never mind. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, there's this adorable little town called... There's adorable little village called Klestina. It's great. It's right in the Pavlovska Bistrica district.
That's your hometown, isn't it?
In the Trachean region. No, that's where my parents came from before they went to Long Island, Minnesota. Long Prairie, Minnesota. Obviously, same thing. Close enough.
Long Island, Minnesota.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I could keep going, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna stop us now.
Okay.
We went for like 10 minutes. So I think that this was much more fun.
Man, you were just about to get me on steam injectors.
Got boy, that would have been fun. I just got some German word that I don't know how to pronounce that I'm gonna. So.
Well, yeah, that is quite fun, even though it's mostly just specific like places. And I think we were especially creative towards the beginning with our segues, but towards the end we just kept getting just places that were just random.
Speaking of Europe, whatever. Okay, so I think that was much better than last time. And I think that this is a fairly fun segment to do.
I had fun.
I did too. And oh, that was wonderful. I love it. Okay. Tendo, would you take us out, please?
You're there you are. You're there, you know, the place. Your favorite cafe in your hometown of Long Prairie, Minnesota. And you're meeting up with your best friend who is a dronologist. And you're talking to him about your favorite type of drone music or whatever, because you're totally into it. And he's talking about how his favorite music when he was younger actually wasn't drone music, but it was actually a form of metal music. And just as he speaks, metal music starts playing in your favorite cafe, which is obviously the cafe with the best tea in town. But just as it gets to the chorus, you hear the first the beginning of the Watch Me song intro, which goes that one way. And then you guys are like, oh man, I hate that song. Why'd they change it? And then you watch a man in a ball cap and sunglasses slip out the door quickly. And you wonder who that is. But you'll never know, because he escaped all the way to Klestina in Slovakia.
Whip slash. We're like Valve, but we only stop after 15.
I'm sorry, that was a very, very specific analogy.
It was. I love it. For those who understand it, great. For those who don't, then, well, I don't feel like explaining it. If you don't get it, it doesn't matter.